Welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast, strategies that help entrepreneurs build reputable and profitable brands. Here's your host, Henry Kaminski Jr.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Henry Kaminski here again with another Brand Doctor Podcast episode for you guys. Today, I have another amazing female entrepreneur that is in the same creative space as myself. And I love speaking with other creatives because I love to get my back reinforced when it comes to the importance of great branding, great identity, and why it's so important to have great creative inside of your business. So without further ado, I want to introduce Layla. Is it Benson Crawford? Crawford Benson?
So it's Leela, and I know it's easy to say Layla because it ends up being almost the same. And then it's Crawford Benson. Just hyphenate that.
I'm actually doing this. Everyone probably thinks right now I'm doing this on purpose, but I'm actually having a lot of fun with it because I butchered the last three girls' names on the past three episodes. So I want my audience to have fun with it. That's okay. And I mean no disrespect, obviously. So, Leela, let's talk about the importance of awesome creative in 2018. And I want to direct this conversation to all those folks out there that are trying to build a brand or build a business, and they don't think it's important to have proper brand identity and quality design integrated. Because it's just not going to move the revenue needle. Let's talk about this and why it's so damn important.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to branding in general, and this is something that I hear all the time, and I'm sure you hear it too, Henry, when you're working with a new client, and they come to you and you're going through, a brand audit with them, and you're asking them these really important, vital questions into helping them get started on the right track, figure out what they've done wrong, undo a lot of the issues. And usually the undoing is a lack of actually planning how they're going to represent their brand. And I always like to say your ability to reflect your brand, it's the inside out, right? Like you're taking who you are as an individual and you're putting it in a social space. You're putting it online. You're putting it on paper. You're putting it out in front of people. When you hand someone a business card and it's nice and thick, they keep it. It's the little things that build so much of that brand identity around you. And people forget that. They seem to think that, and I don't ever like to hate on someone's approach in the sense that, there are some people that go out there and they kill it. They sell like crazy and they have no website, they have no logo, they have no space. But what they're forgetting is they're like, well, I don't need branding, but they are their brand. It's just that now they have nowhere to send that person to go to keep following them.
Right.
And so they're missing all the holes and the gaps. And that's how I always approach that conversation and talk with people who are really struggling to see why having those destination points are so important as you are launching. Even if it's just like the most basic sales page in the entire world where you're capturing information and giving people a place to go. It's so important.
Yeah. I mean, and I think about the other thing too is branding has a lot to do with how you make people feel. And so when I go to a sales page, if I go to, I gotta fix this real quick.
Fine.
When you go to, yikes. There you go. When you hit a landing page, when you grab a business card out of someone's hand, when you interact with a personal brand or a brand online, within 2 seconds, you get this feeling about them. Are they amateur? Are they professional? Are they advanced? Are they brand new? Are you confident in them to deliver a quality product or service? So when I immediately come to a home page on a website or a marketing funnel landing page, and I see this cookie cutter, do-it-yourself looking presence, I immediately question the quality of that business's deliverable. And when people think that they can just glaze over the design part of their business, I want to ask you guys, how much do you think you're missing out on when it comes to revenues and sales, when somebody hits a page like myself, one of your pages like myself, and immediately gets turned off because it looks mediocre at best. So that's how branding and design have that direct connection with your bottom line. And so, you wouldn't walk in, I always use this example, but, you wouldn't walk into the Oscar Awards, you wouldn't walk into the Grammys, dressed like a slouch. So why would you want to represent your business online in front of thousands, some millions of people looking like a bum? Right? I mean, talk to me.
No, I agree. I agree so much. And to back up with the beginning statement that you made, I think that people forget that you really have to build your brand on authenticity. You being your brand, being authentic and having integrity in what you're doing. And I think a lot of people are so focused on making the sale that they forget about the relationship that they need to be building and how they're making people feel. And so that's a huge piece of the puzzle. And I know that a lot of times people, they hire mentors, right? And their mentors are like, you got to make money. We need to make money. We need to make money. We need to go sell, go sell, go sell, go sell. The problem is they haven't even identified who they really are as individuals and how they bring something different to the table. They just have a product or a service and they're trying to just lather it on everybody and get everyone to participate and everyone to buy from them. And in reality, they still haven't taken the time to say, okay, who's my customer avatar? How am I relaying my message to them in the right way? Mm-hmm. Who am I as an individual that makes it different? Like, how is my packaging different? I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're all doing the same things in different ways. It's all about how we're packaging what we're doing. And so I couldn't agree more with you in that sense, where you really, even if you're being told by a mentor right now, and don't hate on them, love them for what they know, but understand that there is massive value in taking the time to identify your branding as who you are and how you make people feel. How is your product or service offering them hope? Because that's how people buy. They have hope that it's going to give them something better. It's going to make them look better. It's going to make them feel better. It's going to make them sound better. It's going to make, and it's about a hope aspect you have to bring to the table, and how you relay that is different, right? Because we're different. I'm different. You're different. If we're talking about Fox and Talk Show, Goon is different, but we all bring something really cool to the table that allows us to sell to our target audience. And that's the beauty of creating a really amazing brand around who you are. And that is branding. When someone's like, your logo is your brand. No, your logo is not your brand. Your logo should be a reflection of who you are. Right? And, so I couldn't agree more with that. I think really taking the time to relay your message and your content that connects and builds relationships is so important to the long-term success of your business. It might be really nice to put money in your pockets in the interim, but it's not going to continue to help create momentum because it's cheap.
Yeah.
It's cheap money.
It's cheap. It's short term. It's not thinking big picture. It's not thinking long term. I don't know any long term or very successful business that's been around for 20, 30 years that has not successfully built a solid brand. I mean, look at some of the bigger companies out there. I look at Progressive Insurance is really turning it up a notch this year. I noticed right away, and they're giving Geico a real big run for their money. Geico has the gecko, lizard for now years, right? So Progressive steps up to the plate with the box. And I think it's the cutest little thing, but that is that brand identity that Progressive is running with. And the box is running around. He's got a pet chinchilla. He's got a selfie stick and he's chilling by the water. I'm pissing my pants every time I watch that commercial because I'm like, look at Progressive stepping up. They understand that there's got to be some sort of identity. There's got to be some sort of feeling. And they're doing a hell of a job. And so if I come to Tom's Painting, Tom's Painting, the brick and mortar paint shop in Main Street on, Sparta Road in Sparta, New Jersey, and I walk in and there's just no personality at all, right? Or I go online and I see this bland website with this bland landing page, and again, no personality at all. How am I supposed to connect with that? Right? And so I want you guys that are watching and listening to understand that that's branding, and that's why it's so damn important. I use this a lot. I use this example a lot, but it's say you're out in the dating space and you find a really attractive guy or girl and you finally get a chance to date them and you go on the date with them and you're sitting there and, their personality is like this, as exciting as like a moth, and like you're sitting there and it's like you're talking to the wall. Like, is that how you want your business to be represented? And those that are not focusing in on branding in 2018 and not focusing in quality identity, like that's how you're showing up. So like, let me ask you, Leela, like, how does a great brand show up?
Consistently and with integrity all of the time. All of the time. And what I mean by when I say consistency is that, number one, and this is how I like to put this when I'm talking, especially to my clients, you have to be consistent in your messaging. And so if you want to show up and you want to position yourself as an authority in your niche, you have to be consistent. You have to be willing to also pivot and understand when something's not working and then be truthful about, hey, this didn't work. Hey, it's time to upgrade. Hey, it's time to switch and create better community around what I'm doing. And a really great brand is able to evolve through that process. And I think that's something that's really vital. Look at what's happening with Babies R Us right now and Toys R Us and everything. They didn't evolve. They didn't take the time to pivot and say, okay, this isn't working. We need to create better community around those who are now interested in our products, and how are we going to do that? And you see that happen all the time. Literally all of the time, just not on such a big scale, with companies and businesses who they do okay, but they're really not creating consistent branding and they're not building a community. And without a community, you do not have momentum. You don't have a community backing you. You do not have momentum going. This is why we do podcasts, right? This is why we have groups. This is why we do events. This is why we create events. We're building communities around messaging. And again, that goes back to saying, when you have really solid messaging that offers people hope, your services, it allows to bring in a larger community that supports your mission. And I think that that's a really big part of creating consistent, timeless almost branding, right? That you're willing to evolve through the times. What needs to change changes, but your core integrity is still there. Your content is still there. The consistency is still there. You're just learning to pivot to what your community is needing from you.
That's it.
I think that's really how a brand withstands long-term longevity.
Yeah, and I love that you bring that up. And the other thing that I want to point out is the word consistency is something that needs to just be paid attention to a little bit deeper. I'm going to go back because I remember my thought now. I love how you said about pivoting. Like, you definitely need to pay attention to what it is that your audience is needing and wanting and what their challenges are currently. What I do 70% of my day is having my ear up against the internet and social media and listening to my audience. Where are they struggling? What are they complaining about? What are they excited about? What do they want more in their life? What do they not want in their life? And I craft my messaging around that, and I craft my deliverables around that. And that's super, super important, because if you have a product or service that nobody wants, I don't care how passionate you are about it, it's a hobby because nobody's going to pay you for it, right? So that's important. The second thing that I want to go back to is consistency, and how important consistency is, not only from a messaging standpoint, from an identity standpoint as well. So if your brand colors are red, gray, and white, and you're putting out Facebook ads, you're putting out Instagram promos and images with purple and gray, and you're using all these random colors and random fonts and typography, like, how is anyone going to remember you? And so it's very, very important that, once you create your brand's identity, that you create your brand guide, and that is the holy grail of your identity. So anytime whether you hire Leela, you hire me, you hire any designer out there, they get this brand guide and they have to abide by it. And not only does it make for a great consistent look for you, but for us as designers, we look at you now with a sense of respect, because you've actually had a brand guide developed for yourself. But it's a hell of a lot easier for us now to design great work for you because now we have guidelines to go by, right? And so, when companies come to me, or I should say personal brands come to me, companies that come to me typically have these brand guides in place already because they're established and they know what it takes to build a brand and to run a successful business. The personal brands that are doing well and they're trying to level up or they're just starting out, they don't even know what a brand guide is. So that's why it's great to talk about this because I want to educate you guys on the importance of brand guides. So defining that consistency and staying with it is definitely going to help you long-term and even short-term when it comes to being remembered, being differentiated, and helping you get more money in the bank, right? So real quick, as we turn the corner and sort of begin to wrap up this episode, what could you give our audience in regards to maybe 3 quick tips that maybe they can start implementing, on the fly to sort of help them craft better brand identity, better brand messaging?
Number 1, develop your mission. That's the biggest thing. What is it that you're trying to do? What do you want to do and why are you doing it? Use a mind map. So simple to create. Utilize them every time you launch a new product, service, anything in your business. Create a mind map. It will really help you identify what your mission and values are. Number 1. Number 2, take the time to really develop a customer avatar. Give that customer avatar a name. Know where they shop, know where they eat, know what they wear. I mean, you need to know, do they like to eat out? Do they like to eat in? Are they married? Do they want to have kids? Are they not interested? You need to know everything about them. They are your new best friend. Mm-hmm. And what's funny, you may find, is that they might be a lot like you. At the end of it, you may find that. Or they could be totally different, but be cautious of taking enough time to develop that. Don't just write down 4 characteristics. That's not enough. And when you go to build strategies later, it's going to be very hard to build a strategy off of someone who has 3 characteristics. They're going to make the most boring person ever. It's going to be very hard to move forward with that. And then number 3, build your brand with integrity. Be honest with yourself. Don't be afraid to pivot when something's not working. You have to work with your head, not your heart. You got to work smart. Right? Not with your heart. You've got to take the time to actually, decide, okay, yes, this is going to work or no, it's not. And even though it can hurt a little bit, can hurt, you still got to walk away and say, okay, pivot, next page. All right, how are we doing this differently? And so those would be my 3 top tips as someone's getting started. Take the time to build those missions, those values, mind map. Take the time to do that customer avatar and make sure that you're building with integrity and consistency. I'm going to add consistency in there as well. Be consistently good at what you're doing. If it's bad, stop doing it, pivot, and start over.
I love it. I love it. I love your energy. I love it. Very passionate about what you do. I love it. That's why I had to have you on the show. So, and I'm going to add a couple things to that. That's a great list, by the way. A couple things is, one of the biggest things that I've noticed that has moved the needle for me is really taking people behind the scenes and showing them everything and basically demonstrating my expertise and demonstrating my skill set. I mean, we are all a bunch of voyeurs at the end of the day, and we all kind of want to see what's going on around the corner through the window, and we want to know that, at the end of the day, if we're going to invest in a person to help us get to the next level, no matter what that is, we want to be able to trust that they're going to be able to take us there. And they're going to be able to take us there with integrity, with a solid sense of skill set and competence. So, demonstrating your work but I hear people all the time, well, you're putting yourself out there too much, like you're giving it all away, like, your competition is just going to take all of that and implement it themselves and you're breeding the competition. I don't believe in that. I believe that there is a client for all of us, and there are hundreds and thousands of clients for all of us. I don't live in that scarcity mindset. And I feel like once you get over that, you're going to feel a hell of a lot better, and life is going to become a lot easier for you. Business is going to be a lot easier for you, because at the end of the day, guys, this is what I tell myself every day. Like, nobody can be Henry Kaminski. Nobody can be the brand doctor. Nobody can be Unique Designz. We have our own flair. We have our own look. We have our own feel. We will treat our clients differently no matter what. And there is no competition in my eyes. There just isn't. And so, and the same thing goes for experience. You're not going to get the same experience with me that you're going to get with another creative. You're just not. And so why are you worrying about it? Like you should, and the same flip side goes to you. Like Leela's going to give you a different experience than me. So go for it. Whatever rings your bell, whatever, tickles your ass, do it. You know what I mean? Like that's, you deserve a great person that is aligned with what it is that you feel, what it is that you value. And I truly believe that every person deserves, as clients, we deserve great people to work with. If you do great work, you deserve great vendors. You deserve great clients. So get out there and start showing and proving, and you'll be surprised the quality of client that you attract. You will find your niche. You'll find your groove. Excuse me. And you'll just run with it, and you're going to dominate it and be consistent with it. I love the word consistency because it is how you win. But yet you have to do it, right? And you have to do it on many different levels. It's not just showing up every day. If you show up every day with a shitty message, you're being consistently shitty.
Yeah.
So let's figure out what's working, what our audience needs. I think if anything you take away from this episode, it's really understanding the inside and out of your audience so that you can provide a great message to them that they resonate with. Because if they don't, there's no business. So, Leela, I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of a Friday afternoon and coming on the show and sharing some great knowledge and sharing a fellow creative vision and fellow creative voice on the importance of brand identity, why you should have it, what we should be doing to create it, and how it affects your bottom line. And if you're not doing what we said today, then you better start, because the competition is getting thick. And the only way you're going to survive in 2018 and beyond is if you get your branding right. So, Leela, thank you so much for coming on the show. If you have, before I forget, like every episode, if you haven't gone over to the Brand Doctors Hangout yet on Facebook, go check us out over there. And if you haven't shared this podcast with a friend or colleague and haven't subscribed yet, please do. I thank you in advance, and I will continue to bring you as much value as I possibly can with great guests like Leela and valuable content that's going to help you build and grow your brand in the future. So have an awesome day, guys, and I'll catch you on the next episode.
You've been listening to the Brand Doctor Podcast with Henry Kaminski Jr. To get your appointment with the doctor, visit Brand Audit at www.uniquedesignz.net.